Hello and welcome to another jungle guide, and in this one we are going to be looking at the new favorite rune of the jungler, of the mid lane, of basically everyone, and yes, that's Predator. And so like a good guide maker, I did my research, did about 50 to 100 pages of replays. I lost track after 50 to be honest with you, and then I noticed I had about 25 saved replays with 25 different champions all running Predator in high elo on EU West alone. Korea also had it, NA also had it. There was just so many junglers that can run Predator, have adapted to the new reality of no Conqueror and Gore Drinker. So we will have a good summary of why this is the case and how it applies to all of the junglers in the game and why. And then we will have a nice in-depth breakdown of how you can use this rune set to snowball games, close them early, because you really have to. You don't have the same stats later in the game. However, I will give reference to a game if you don't exactly have a lead, how you can still play with the rune when it comes to the 25-30 minute mark. So if you do enjoy and learn something, please do leave a like and of course subscribe. Don't forget to head to the gameplay channel for all your full champion breakdowns. Also the Patreon has coaching VODs and coaching signups. And now without hesitation, let's begin. So the most notable thing obviously is that Ingenious Hunter, which gives you item haste, went from 10 to 20. That's right, they doubled it. Also, they basically said instead of 5 per stack, you get 6 per stack, which means you can have a maximum of 30 put onto that 20 for a total of 50 item haste. In and of itself, that doesn't really seem like it matters a lot. The thing is, it really becomes super useful when you have Predator to activate. This goes from a 90-second to 60-second scaling cooldown, which is quite a lot. Only having a keystone every 90 seconds, that's just a little bit too much. It makes it really unfeasible in terms of having good success early game from a ganking and skirmishing point of view. However, a few patches ago, Riot also buffed the maximum bonus speed from Predator 45% to 60%, and that ramp up time instead of being 1.5 seconds is now 1 second. So when you're actually using Predator, that has a lot of interesting use cases and we'll go over that in the gameplay. But when you combine it with the Ingenious Hunter, all of a sudden you're basically looking at a cooldown just over 60 seconds instead of 90 seconds if you have a fully stacked Ingenious Hunter. Essentially, if you have, say 4 KP around 6 minutes, you don't have Cosmic Insight, even you just have Ingenious Hunter, you're looking at around 57 or so seconds of cooldown, which is more than enough when you're looking to actually use it proactively or reactively, go about taking a herald, farming some more, and all of a sudden if you need it again, it is up. Again, the gameplay breakdown we will have will show you all the ways you can use it and how, but the reason you're seeing so many junglers use it, the reason you're seeing so many mid laners use it, is because despite the fact that out of Electrocute, Dark Harvest, and Predator, it has the lowest bonus AP and AD ratio and a significantly lower uptime, it brings forth one of the most important things about jungling that I've always talked about, being able to reactively path. If you're doing your grump and you see a fight in the mid lane, instead of finishing your grump, you need to rotate. Predator instills this concept into your mind because if you just go fight in the river, if you go for a normal gank, you don't have Electrocute damage, you don't have Dark Harvest to scale into the late game, you have to react to deny the enemy team, the enemy jungler from those plays, and also there's a huge bonus of, getting there yourself, picking up kills, pushing waves, and really just infusing yourself with a lot of experience. If you watch the China Jungle video I did with Graves about how he got 1000 AP with a 72% win rate, you will notice that heavily he used to push lanes. Heavily he would rotate to ganks and try and be very active. With Predator, it allows you not only to run into a lane turbo speeding for a gank just as you normally would, it also allows you to become a master counter ganker. If the mid lane is suddenly diving the bottom lane and there's 3 people because, the enemy champion also took Predator or they just happen to rotate, you as a jungler will be able to collapse. The same thing top lane, the same thing mid lane. It allows counter ganking to go up significantly and rewards those who leave their camps to help their team, and I don't know why I'm selling it as some kind of selfless act. You get gold too, right? You understand this. You get kills, you get to push waves. It's good for you. It's good for your team. It's good for everybody. It's also huge in the mid to the late game when you're playing something like an assassin, which is why they like it in particular, because if you're a Kayn, for example, having the ability to Predator and E allows you to get around and flank people even if it's kind of tough in terms of team comp. Yes, it makes your skill shots harder to hit, but it also makes it harder for them to deal with you and click on you, which is obviously what we don't want. Now, even though obviously it allows you to rotate quickly, either proactively, reactively, great for team fights, rotating around teams that are kind of annoying to flank, it also gives you a little bit of damage, and even though it doesn't scale as well with your raw statistics, assassins and damage dealers will definitely have meaningful damage in those fights, and obviously remember that bonus damage only comes through after the 1 second channel, so if you're trying to use it and then hit someone, time it accordingly, understand where the damage is coming from. And on that note, we're gonna go into a Viego Predator gameplay because I saw this profile and I'll link the match history below as well, and I basically saw Graves Predator, Lee Sin Predator, Viego Predator, anything Predator, and I'm thinking, okay, so he knows how to use Predator. We are against a Xin Zhao, and he's gonna do the most wonky clear I've ever seen in terms of buff Grump. I'm pretty sure I would much prefer seeing the buff Raptors Grump, but what can you do? This is what he chose to do. The red team have warded the enemy red buff with the idea that the Xin Zhao can now invade the Viego, knowing that the Viego does not have Conqueror, he does not have PTA, he does not have Electrocute, he does not have any damage whatsoever to use as a keystone early, because you do not have boots. And you could argue to do a red side reset into a gank, but I think with certain champions that are using it, you don't want it to distort your jungling too much. You still want to have good jungling practices and use a Predator as something that accentuates your ability to snowball and gain leads, rather than takes away something from your jungling. Now in this case, you see he does have Cosmic Insight, and usually we would see booties as an option, but if you do that, you're delaying the ability to have a keystone, and I don't think that's a good idea whatsoever. And therefore, our hero decides, let me go futures market, so not only will I get my boots early, I can also get the raw statistics from the usual itemization that I would buy. Big brain. And now what you're watching is the Xin Zhao invading, the bottom lane is collapsing, everyone rotating. There's a lot of aggressive fighting, he's able to get a kill himself before he falls, and now you might be thinking, wait, isn't this about snowballing? And I'm saying yes, but I like this because it puts you on the back foot. You got invaded unexpectedly, you now died unexpectedly. How do we go about still managing to track and secure ourselves a good easy win? Now ideally you would like to buy boots on your first buy, but sometimes you don't really get the gold you need. You're not able to have the nice start you want by maybe getting double crabs, an invasion kill, a counter gank. You go back and you can get long swords, a dagger plus boots. In this case, he decides to forego them, saying I don't really need them at this moment because I have a date with Destiny, and that Destiny is not Season 2 of The Witcher coming in December. It's that I know that my Tier 2 Grump and Tier 2 Wolves are spawning. I know that Xin Zhao is going to go to the bottom side, try and secure that crab, and maybe even try and double scuttle. This, from the Viego's point of view, is a very straightforward decision. I have Tier 2 camps and a crab. The enemy jungler's decision is actually kind of bad because he only has a second spawn Grump, and that's not going to be up yet. He knows Viego took a 5 camp clear, which means there's nothing on that side other than the crab, and for him to fall back down and take the wolves or look for a gank in the mid lane. Viego can track this and understands this. This is why he went for pure statistical build, because the idea here is if he calls his bluff and Shin goes bottom lane, I can take top crab and now invade him on his Raptors, try and kill him again, start that snowball. Again, much like that 1000 AP jungle video, sometimes it's okay pushing the buttons, getting 2 or 3 kills. Even if you die, you come away with more gold, and that is then used to suppress the enemy jungler and snowball even harder. It's okay to die once or twice while trying to make plays. I mean, don't walk in an inch. You have to measure lane prior, rotations, and so on. Your champion's strengths understand that you can push these buttons, go ahead and get yourself a bunch of kills, maybe an assist, and even if you die once more, now we are ready to unleash the map with Predator Viego. Okay, so out of base, obviously we need to recontrol our jungle. Highest tier camps will be Grump, Wolves, and Raptors. Therefore, with our Noon Quiver and Furious Boots, we're gonna go to the top side. We can then use those boots to rotate or gank as necessary. The Xin Zhao basically says, well, I'm screwed. I might as well take my blue side, second spawn Grump, and because I anticipate that Viego will do this, I'm gonna go and snack his second spawn Raptors myself. The problem is Viego's already thinking actively. He's thinking, I've got my boots, I need to use it, I need to use my lead. Goes mid lane, uses the Predator to gap close, chase down the Vex, and the Vex was kind enough to basically say, help jungler, help, and the enemy jungler saying, no, I want these Raptors chicken nuggets, and then basically Viego kills the Vex, and then the Viego kills the Xin Zhao. Excellent use of Predators to get into the lane, excellent use of angles to gap close, and it really throws a wrinkle into the enemy jungler's plans, because if you were just doing regular slow jungling things, and Viego isn't really that slow anyway, he probably gets in and gets out, he's healthy enough to do the camp and counter gank it, but because the Predator is so fast and just basically speeds up the whole ganking action, if the enemy jungler doesn't rotate or deal with it appropriately, well, you saw what happens. Always when you at least get the enemy jungler dead or even get a double kill, look to the next lane. Can I go through river here and actually kill the bottom lane? They're currently fisting, might as well rotate and pick myself up 2 more kills. From this, the RNG crab spawns on the top side, how fortuitous. Again, don't fall back to your jungler. Now, while the Xin Zhao is a jungle main in high elo, he is doing a very low elo jungle thing, not assuming that the Viego took the crab. So he walks into the river trying to sneak that away, thinking the Viego reset. And I like this because it's what's going to happen to most of your games. 99% of your junglers are going to do these dumb things. It's on you to abuse it and punish them. Notice how he doesn't need the Predator for the speed up, he simply wants a little bit of bonus damage in this 1v1 because he effectively doesn't have a keystone. So as it comes up while he's fighting, you can press it, 1 second later your next attack will give you that base damage. It's not a lot, but because you have Noon Quiver and you're basically far ahead, it's just enough to help you secure the kill and carry on about your business. And because we have Ingenious Hunter and Cosmic Insight, there's no real reason to be reserved in your use of Predator. Don't think it's only for aggressive ganks. No, it's literally for those ganks as you say, but it's also for those counter ganks, those counter movements, those rotations. But in the event that you are in a fight and you need a bit more extra damage, press the button, use it, get the kill. And now because you know the enemy jungler is going to be on the other side of the map, you can probe for some counter jungling, steal the blue, do the dragon, and finally go back to base and spend your cash monies. I do think it's a healthy approach to kind of wait to see if a support's gonna row and maybe you can make a pig, but don't overstay here. We have a lot of gold to spend. We have a huge lead that if we don't spend it, we don't really have said lead, and now you can die and give shutdowns. You don't really want to do that to a Twitch. Now it'd be kind of obvious to assume that the enemy jungler has taken red, probably gone to the Herald, tried to take that away, maybe stolen some of your chems. Although this jungler, while serviceable, lacks panache, creativity, and well, any sort of brain cells. Decides instead to do his red side, sequence down and steal the Viego's red side. The Viego in the meantime sees Vex ganking top lane. Silly Vex didn't take Predator, which means Viego can Predator gap close and try and get a kill. She escapes, that is absolutely okay. Fall back to your blue side, secure it. When the enemy jungler doesn't pay attention to his prior thing and basically runs it down into the bottom lane, that means free objective, kill conversion ratio. When you get a kill, you get an objective. When the enemy dies for a particular reason, you also get an objective. So in this case, death conversion ratio for the enemy. And now you will note, once we've done that, we've just had a logical sequence of plays. All of a sudden, we have shield bow completed, our Predator's up once more. We can try and gank the Akali in the top lane, but it is one of the most ungankable champions in the game and he's unable to execute. Now, a lot of you might be able to get this point in your games. You might think, well, I get fed with Predator, I get fed with whatever champion on whatever Rune set. How do I take this lead and actually translate that into a mid-game control? Well, it's just like the S+ jungle video with Warwick where I talked about this, and it also happened on the bottom lane. If you're making these plays and taking these heralds and getting these dragons, once you show top lane and you know the enemy jungler has no top cams, it's highly likely they're going to be sequencing to the bottom side again, try and repeat gank bottom lane. You know why? Because you're not there. Therefore, because the next dragon's going to be spawning, all our camps are downside, we expect the enemy jungler to show up. You use your E, you use your Predator, you gap close into the Twitch, and as they get more desperate to deal with you, you use that little bit of damage, not necessarily to gap close, although it's kind of useful. Use it for a bit of damage to get that passive reset, which you can use for more resets, and we have a triple kill. When you take a very fast jungler who scales anyway and actually takes over games regardless, and now you make them fast and able to rotate to these situations even more than they already could, much like a Hecarim, all of a sudden the whole enemy team, including the enemy jungler, is dealing with something that's quite oppressive. It elevates the game pace significantly, which makes them more liable to make mistakes and unable to match your tempo control. And now usually we have to play a little bit accordingly. Once you've done all that and you've used a herald and you fall back to your red side, you're kind of waiting for the next phase of the game. You want your team to be safe, you don't want to overcommit. You are the one with the gold lead, by the way. Look at the KDAs. I mean, it's really all the Viego. The Lissandra has done a good job and she is up in gold. But in terms of bot lane and top lane, this is all jungle difference. But because we have Ingenious Hunter, because it's the new meta, what happens is, even if your team gets caught out in the mid lane, them trying to make a play while the Viego's gone, you press the button, you get there quickly, and you kill them all again. I mean, it's really fun. Basically, it allows you to be Hecarim while not being Hecarim. And then it does things to Hecarim that make me kind of upset, but you know, at least he's squishy and we can deal with it. And if you really want to push this game to conclusion soon and fast, this is where you can enable your extended sequence. Obviously, we've been out for a while anyway. 10 minutes was the last time we were in base. But because you can be so fast around the map, if anyone is out of position and you have numbers advantage, or you can just beat them 1v1, press the button, kill them, push the wave, take their stuff, take the dragon, press the button again. You're just continuously applying this pressure. No one is safe. And you want that Predator noise in their head to be their alarm bell when they wake up, because they've had nightmares of what you've been doing. Now after that, obviously you want to do standard stuff, push the map, get the herald, secure the barons and whatnot. If you just can brute force the game to win, you can do so. That's what you're seeing highlights of now. However, if you're a bit more standard game where things don't go as smoothly, but you're still looking to snowball and control the game, I just uploaded yesterday on my gameplay channel a Predator Kayn video. It's about 29 to 30 minutes long, so there's a bit more decision making and macro in terms of team fighting, how to use Predator in those situations, and basically what happens if you try and snowball but it doesn't go as well, and yet you still want to use Predator as a rune and want to win some games. You will also see some Blue Kayn footage to close out this video, just showing you the flanking angles and how it can be really oppressive when it comes to having a lead later in the game. Even if you only have dogs, animals, and basic house pets on your team as teammates, you can still end up carrying without harvest, without electrocute, just by Predator pressure. But there you have it, a Predator video on how to snowball, why it's strong, who it's working for, which is basically, by the way, everyone. Hopefully you got that from the plethora of junglers in the introductory section. Also how to snowball and win and use it in all its different cases through ganks, counter ganks, rotations, and just straight up 1v1 fighting. And then the gameplay video will deal with your later game situations when things don't go as peachy as they did for Viego. And so we end Season 11 with speed, as we started it out with speed, from Chem Tank to Predator. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and comment if you did enjoy and learn something. Season 12 jungle changes and explanations and meta-analysis coming next week, as well as a good tier list video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.